What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Cody Campbell with High Ground Gaming. Today we are unboxing and reviewing the Hori Switch Split Pad Pro. I'm going to start by walking you through the specs on this guy. Then we're going to go to the unboxing section. I'm going to open it up, let you take a look at it. From there, we'll go to the review portion where I'll give you my thoughts on it, and then we'll go to High Ground Gaming's final score. Stick around. So while this isn't actually made by Nintendo, it is an official Nintendo licensed product, which is kind of a big deal. It means Nintendo gave it their stamp of approval. There are a lot of things to love about the Joy-Con, particularly in terms of its versatility. It can be used with a lot of different accessories and can snap on and snap off and click into different controllers and all kinds of neat stuff. The fact is, they're really not very ergonomic. They're completely flat, and that can make holding the Switch uncomfortable for the hands. The goal of the Split Pad Pro is to make an alternative to that, one that is much more ergonomic. It also has an assignable rear trigger, so you get an extra button. And it comes in 11 different designs. I personally went for the clear black because I'm a sucker for semi-transparent Nintendo accessories. But you can also get a Pokemon one, you can get a Pac-Man one, you can get a Sonic one. There are a whole bunch of different themed controllers, and they're all very cool. One thing worth mentioning, though, that they noted on their website is that while you can dock the regular Nintendo Switch with these attached, it will not dock on the OLED version. I'm not really sure why. I don't know if the dock on the OLED version is a little bit bigger or something like that, but if you have the OLED version of the Nintendo Switch, you should probably keep that in mind if you're planning on buying this. That's about it for the specs, though. Let's open it up. All right, so in the box, we've just got the instruction manual and the controllers. No separate charging cable or anything like that. I suppose it's like the regular Joy-Cons where you're just expected to charge it on the actual Switch itself, unless you get like a separate charging dock or something like that. So first thing you notice is that the buttons are all a little bigger. In terms of design, the semi-transparent black has the Hori logo right at the top there. I'm a little disappointed that the transparency isn't actually more transparent. You can't see much through this, and the back isn't transparent at all. So that is a little bit of a bummer, but they still look cool, and I'm excited to test them out. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw these on my Switch. I'm gonna play some Pokemon Legends Arceus, and we'll be right back with the review portion. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks. I've spent the last couple weeks playing around with the Hori Split Pad Pro Nintendo Switch controller, and I'm ready to talk about it. But before I do that, please hit the like and subscribe button. All right, let's get into it. I quickly want to mention something that I forgot to talk about earlier, which is the fact that this only works in handheld mode. These controllers do not work wirelessly. They don't have any sort of wireless compatibility. They do, however, have an accessory that you can buy separately that allows them to work like a wired controller, but that runs $80, which I really don't think is worth it. Now let's dive into the build quality of these guys, though. First of all, I just want to say they are not super satisfying to hold on their own. They're extremely light. They almost feel like you're just holding hollow plastic casing, like there's no weight to them. They have a little bit of a Fisher-Price vibe, if you know what I mean. That's kind of a good thing in a lot of ways because the weight of the Switch itself sort of gives it a satisfying feel, and also you don't want to add too much weight to a handheld device. Really, the Switch itself is already heavy enough that adding more weight just so the controllers feel, you know, more satisfying to hold would actually sort of end up being a detriment because it would make it harder to hold up over longer periods of time. It would sort of add to a sense of fatigue. So in a lot of ways, it's really good that they're so light. In terms of actually holding them during gaming, they're not the most ergonomic controllers I've ever felt. They're obviously not going to compare to like an Xbox controller or something like that, but they are significantly better than the Joy-Cons. They actually give you some grips that you can hold on to that have a sort of texture on the back, so they're not going to slip around too much. The overall size is really nice. The buttons are bigger and more spaced out, as are the thumbsticks. So it just sort of gives your hands more room so they're not all cramped up on top of them. The buttons on the face feel nice. They're very clicky. And the thumbsticks are good as well. That's one of the things with third-party controllers that I always worry about the most is the thumbsticks, because I found that most of them are either too tight or too loose feeling, and so that can really mess with you, especially in like shooters and stuff where you need to aim that reticle. So having some really nice thumbsticks is a big plus. These buttons are a little mushy, rubbery, but that's okay. There's the turbo button, the home button, the share button, stuff like that. Those don't need to be super high quality, so that's fine. The only kind of disappointing thing is the shoulder buttons. Those feel like sort of cheap plastic third-party controller buttons. They have a slight click to them, but they feel kind of mushy, and there's just not a lot of tactility to them. But it's not the end of the world. They're perfectly serviceable. Now let's get into how they perform when you actually want to use them in games. First of all, syncing them, super easy. It's just like a regular Joy-Con. You click it into place, you hit the home button to turn them on, and it turns on just like it would with normal Joy-Cons. They're automatically synced up and good to go. So that's awesome. I tested them out playing some Pokemon Legends Arceus, I played some Fire Emblem Three Houses, and then I wanted to test their responsiveness a little bit, so I also played some Metroid Dread, and I found that they performed flawlessly the entire time. They were extremely responsive. There was no lag, no dropped button presses or missed connections or anything like that. They worked exactly like you would expect a controller to work, and that's great. I also played around a little bit with the turbo buttons and the assign buttons. Turbo button works pretty much like a normal turbo button. It just activates a rapid fire. The assign buttons are pretty easy. You just hold down the assign and then press the button that you want to assign to the paddle. For Metroid Dread in particular, I assigned the X shoot to the paddle because I found that that was a lot easier, a lot more intuitive for me. Other than that, there's really not a whole lot to say about them. They're comfortable to hold and they work pretty much exactly like you'd expect them to. So let's get down to the verdict. So the Hori Split Pad Pro MSRP is at $49.99, but you can find them for a little bit cheaper on Amazon. I think the translucent blacks were going for about 45 bucks when I took a look at it. As I mentioned before, the build quality is a little mediocre on these, the way they feel light and the sort of disappointing shoulder buttons. Even the fact that the translucent black isn't nearly as translucent as I was hoping to. It's a lot of little things like that, but the sheer comfort of holding it and the fact that it's priced so affordably really makes them a pretty good deal. There's a couple competitors, like there's a company I found on Amazon called Unbox. They have some mediocre reviews. They do offer a couple of features like wireless mode that these do not, but overall just the solid build quality and the fact that these are actually licensed by Nintendo makes it seem a little bit better. I will say that if you're looking to switch between handheld mode and docked mode, then these controllers are probably not for you. Spending $80 on that extra accessory is really just not worth it in my opinion. You can get a Switch Pro controller for 70 bucks. So in my opinion, if you want to go that route, I would use these exclusively for handheld mode, and then instead of getting the adapter, just get a Switch Pro controller and use that for when you want to play docked. Other than that, I have to say these are just a solid option for handheld mode. After using these for the last couple of weeks, I can't imagine going back to using the regular Joy-Cons. These are probably just gonna stay perma-docked on my actual Switch, and so that way I can just pick it up and use these when I want to use handheld mode and use a separate controller for when I want to play docked. So keeping all that in mind, we gave it a 4 out of 5. Yes, it has its flaws, but to be honest, it really stands out among the competition, and it is a significant improvement, in my opinion, over using regular Joy-Cons. Not to mention the fact, it's actually a lot cheaper than regular Joy-Cons. So if you have the Joy-Cons that came with your Switch, you can use those for docked mode, and these will be much better for when you choose to play mobily. Why don't you go ahead and leave a comment and let us know what you think. Do you think the fact that these can't really be feasibly used in docked mode makes it so that they should be more affordable than what they are? Or do you think it's worth it to have a handheld exclusive controller that just makes your gaming feel so much more comfortable? While you're at it, please give us a like, and subscribe to the channel. We've got a lot more reviews coming real soon. Hopefully we're planning on doing more controller reviews specifically, so if you're interested in this sort of thing, stick around. We wouldn't want you to miss any of it. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Happy gaming.